Alright guys, here's the long-awaited follow-up to this video right there. So I did a video showing how I bend test arrows before I start doing anything with them, and that's how I put an initial tune on my bow. I bend test them and then I shoot them through paper to try to get a bullet hole, and that's where I start. Now I was getting a lot of comments from guys saying, oh well, that's not how you should do it all. That's not everything you need to do. No, you're right. That's a starting point. If you can get your arrows to shoot a bullet hole through paper standing here, in the messy garage at 5 or 7 yards, that's the baseline. That's not the end all be all of tuning. So here's the follow-up. We're going to go through a broadhead tune on my Mission MXR. Few assumptions that are made. Your bow's in time, it's in spec. I have done the bend test or flex test on my arrows, so I know they're all bending the same. So from here, now that we got the bow that far, we are going to start shooting through paper. We're going to shoot the bear shaft through paper. So we're just going to start right here, nice and close, and we're going to put one through and see where it's at for now. So it looks like we got a little bit of high left here. I'm going to throw another one in there, just make sure that wasn't me that shot one off kind of quick. And that one came off kind of a high tear. So let's just step back here a little bit further and see what it does. Wicked high tear. All right, so we're going to make some big corrections here. So left and right looks pretty good. So what that means is we need to raise this up just a little bit, and I gotta grab the right Allen wrench for that. All right, so here on the side, I'm gonna loosen this up, and I'm just gonna drive this up with the micro drive. I went pretty good on that because there's pretty significant tear. Looks like we still got a pretty good height there, so we'll keep going. Well, after about 12 shots, I think I'm pretty much there. It seems like I'm torquing it just a little bit, but I think we're close enough. We can step outside with it now. All right, so we're standing out here now. We're at like, 15 or 17 yards. We're just going to put a few arrows on the target and see what they look like. Okay, now the trick is, we got those two hitting together. Let's see where the bear shaft is. All right, so here at like 15 yards or so, you can see these are all pretty much grouping together. Those are all really tight. If you just look at the shaft a little bit, it looks like the bear shaft's pointed down just a hair. So I could probably take that rest up just a little bit, but this is close enough. We're going to put a broadhead on and see what we get out of it now. All right, we're going to start with the Montec. Just see where it lands. Obviously, it's hitting really high, so I'm going to aim at the bottom dot so the arrows hopefully go into that middle module. Shoot a flex shaft. And just for kicks and giggles, let's shoot the bear shaft down there again. See where all three of these group. All right, so here we got this one. Let's see. So here we go. This is the broadhead. That's the fletch shaft. I rushed that shot on that bear shaft, so you can see it's sitting in there funky. That lets me know I torqued the crap out of that thing. But this is close enough. I think I'm going to just re-zero my 20 pin, and then we'll step back and shoot these broadheads a little distance and see how they do. All right, looks like we're about back in at 20. I'm not going to get really carried away at this because I'm going to push this target back and we're going to shoot broadheads. And I may end up moving my rest just a little bit more. So I just wanted to make sure it was close so I'm at least on the target. So we're gonna go push this target back to probably start with 30, see how they look, and then we'll just keep moving the target back. All right, so now we're set up at approximately 30. The key here is I'm not worried about hitting the center. That's not the important part. The important part is that I'm making good shots and that I'm aiming at the same point each time, because I want to see how they're grouping together. And once they're grouping, then I'll adjust my sights. So we're going to shoot a cutthroat single bevel here, approximately 30. All right, so these are all hitting pretty close anyways. This one was me. I yanked that one pretty hard. But this is the broadhead. Those are the two good field point shots right there. So I think I need to move my rest ever so slightly to the right towards the broadhead. And then we will push this back and shoot it at 50 and just see how they're landing. All right, so the broadhead was hitting right of the field points. So we're going to move the rest to the broadhead. And we're going to move it incrementally. So you can see I've actually got some marks on here. So these obviously have the granulated marks, but I put an extra so I got something to look at. Helps me a little bit. So I'm going to break this loose, and we're going to move this like half a line to the right. So here we go. We're going to break this loose right here. I'm going to use this knob, and we're going to go other direction, half a line to the right. And now we're going to shoot them at 50 and just see where it's landing. That hopefully brought that in, and they'll be hitting nice and close now. All right, so first shot at 50. If we look at them this way, left and right, those things are basically right on top of each other. I'm happy with that. There's just a hair vertical, so that could be me. So we're going to pull them, and we're going to do it again. Well, those dang near landed almost in the same hole. So that was the shot before, and that too. So I'm just a little bit left of those, but the spacing is almost exactly the same. So I think I'm going to make a small adjustment. Now going vertical, you move to the field point. So that means I'm going to bump my rest up just a smidgen. Half of a frog here. All right, so I'm going to put another mark on here with my pen so you guys can see that. So I've got a reference point to work off of. And I'm going to move this just as small as I possibly can. Wrong wrench. Got like 3 of them in my bag. I'm going to go up just as absolutely. So that was about half the width of a pen mark, if that. Crank that down, and we're going to give it another try. Well, that doesn't look too bad. So that small move I made on the rest brought everything in on the vertical plane. So this one here is the broadhead, right in the middle. I shot 2 field points. They landed on either side. So that definitely could be me, but we got the up and down fixed. We've shot quite a few where left and right they were pretty close. I think this is where I'm going to leave it for now, because if I keep messing with it, I'm starting to get tired. There's a little bit of a breeze starting to pick up. I'm going to start giving myself bad information. So I'm probably going to go adjust my pin and move my sights just a little bit so I can bring that group over. I might shoot 1 or 2 more, but I'm not going to touch the rest. It's one of the big things I've had to learn with this archery stuff, especially when you're doing stuff like broadhead tuning. You have to accept that you have limitations, okay? You have to realize that after you've shot 20, 30, 40 arrows, your shots are not going to be as good, and you need to stop for the day. Because if you keep going, sorry, you can probably hear that air conditioner running. It's running nonstop down here in Texas. You have to admit that your shots are going to not be as good. And you just need to call it a day, and that's okay. And start again tomorrow. This usually takes a little bit, but and I don't know, I've probably shot a dozen in there, and I've probably shot about a dozen here. So in 30 arrows, I've got my broadhead tuned back in pretty close. What we should do is shoot it through paper now, just to see what it looks like. All right, you got a nice little shot here, the messy garage. But for kicks and giggles, for the most part, I'm going to say my broadhead tune is spot on. I'm going to come back out and probably check that tomorrow morning again when I'm fresh, when it's cooled down, when the breeze has stopped. So, for kicks and giggles, let's just see what it does through paper. Now that I've gone through that process and refined it with broadheads out to 50. The answer is basically a bullet hole. So I think we're going to call that sufficient. All right, to sum up, when you're doing broadhead tuning, left and right, you move it to the broadhead. Up and down, you move it to the field point. Now, I am not taking claim for being the guy who figured this out, by no means. I am just a backyard guy who watches a bunch of YouTube, and that's what I've learned most of my stuff from. So go watch the guys that really know what they're doing. I'm just out here having fun recording myself. So go watch guys like John Dudley and MFJJ. Those guys, they know the nuts and bolts of it. I'm out here just trying to apply what I'm learning and bringing you guys along for the ride. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll probably be back out here tomorrow morning to verify what I've done. So thanks for coming along.